Hondurans voted to elect a new president in late November, but they didn't officially have one for nearly 3 weeks. Although the election was about a month ago, thousands of protesters have been in the streets refusing to accept the results, claiming corruption and fraud. At least 24 people have died during the violent clashes. The country was split by a razor-thin margin in a contest between two completely different candidates: an incumbent president, allied to the US, and a TV host and first-time candidate. So what do we know about the current political chaos going on in one of the most important countries in the Northern Triangle? And how can Hondurans move forward amid this tension? Politically, Honduras hasn't been shaking this bad since their 2009 coup. The people in the streets are mostly the supporters of the opposition celebrity-like candidate Salvador Nasralla, who lost. Although in his Twitter bio, he's declared himself as a winner and president until 2022. The officially winning candidate was President Juan Hernandez, except that's being contested. Suspecting fraud, the Organization of American States has called for a redo election. And the results were so close that international experts say it's impossible to actually know which candidate won. Nasralla from the opposition alliance against dictatorship has gained a lot of support. In between his celebrity status and extroverted personality, he knows how to gather and work big crowds, but has no political background. Sound familiar? Nasralla has someone powerful in his corner though, Mel Zelaya. He's a former president of Honduras who had alliances with leaders like Hugo Chavez and Fidel Castro. Zelaya was overthrown in 2009 when he tried to change the constitution in order to get himself re-elected. Now, the declared winner, President Juan Hernandez, has been president of Honduras since 2009. He is the first president ever to run for a second term. I spoke to the former Latin America advisor for Vice President Biden so he could break it down for us.
Honduran President Juan Hernandez is actually the leader of what's called the National Party. Since he assumed office, he was originally the Speaker of the House and then was elected following the ouster of President Mel Zelaya. Juan Hernandez advanced changes that would allow for his re-election. So that's something where I think is where the process first begins to break down, because there was a lot of debate over whether or not that change should have happened and actually the process by which that change was made. So that's the first issue with the election.
This is one of the reasons Nasralla supporters are so pissed off with the election results. Now, remember, Nasralla supporters are also Zelaya supporters, and Zelaya was overthrown in 2009 because he sought re-election. But that just wasn't the way things were done in Honduras. Running for a second term was against the law, until Juan Hernandez came along and changed the constitution in 2015 so that he could run again. So Hernandez has flaws, but on the other hand, his accomplishments have been praised by the US in terms of security and the economy.
It's actually because of his leadership that the Alliance for Prosperity in the Northern Triangle was begun, which is this broad-scale initiative where the United States provided $750 million in 2017 to support those efforts. So he's been actually an ally of the United States. He's gotten a lot of criticism from the human rights community when there have been violence against human rights advocates. For example, there was murder of a very recognized environmental activist, Versha, and there are allegations and rumors that the security forces may have had something to do with it.
So, on election day, the results showed Hernandez had won with 42.95% of the votes, while Nasralla lost with 41.42%. That's a margin of just 1.53%. Supporters of Nasralla believe the election had been stolen and demonstrated their anger in nationwide protests. Then there was a recount in December, where Hernandez was officially pronounced the winner. Protests continued. Now, the Organization of American States are calling for a redo of the whole election, suspecting widespread irregularities in how the vote was conducted.
Well, I think the reason Hondurans are protesting largely is because you have a very divided society in Honduras, and many Hondurans do not support re-election. But I think a lot of it is also because it's such a polarized society. You'll have individuals that align across party lines. Nasralla is somebody who has national recognition. He's a celebrity. He has that appeal. He had a very popular show. He's been inconsistent in what he actually offers as an alternative, but he has also run, like many populists in the region have run, on an anti-corruption campaign that will address, some of the lack of opportunity and the concentration of wealth in the country.
Soon after the election, the U.S. State Department declared Hernandez as the winner and urged opposition protesters to resolve their differences peacefully, ignoring the democratic concerns of fraud and corruption of some Honduran people.
The steps that the United States and the Honduran government should take is essentially open the doors, be totally transparent, and find some sort of resolution. Otherwise, you may have continued protests, and you may actually have a situation where Honduras loses the support of the U.S. Congress.
So far, the U.S., Mexico, Guatemala, and Colombia have all recognized Hernandez as a president-elect, and he's scheduled to be sworn in late January 2018, with only half of the population on his side. Why does the U.S.'s voice in the Honduran election matter so much? Well, it might be the world's only superpower. Check out this video to the right to learn what defines a country as a superpower. Thanks for watching NowThis World. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this every week.